Welcome to my Vampire Survivors like tier list. Vampire Survivors has started a ginormous trend back in early January pretty much, where the first few streamers have picked it up. The first one that I remember was Northern Lion, and that is also the streamer that got me into Vampire Survivors at a time where I only had 15 subscribers, and look at the channel now. So thank you so much, both Northern Lion and especially of course Vampire Survivors. But yes, the trend, the huge wave that came out of that brought a ton of people into the game, but also of course a lot of games that thought, hey, I like what I see and I will have my own take at it. This tier list will be incredibly subjective, so keep that in mind, and to help you evaluate better at what I'm saying, I will also list how many hours I've played the games. Now the list will have games that are directly influenced or inspired by Vampire Survivors, but also other games that are just similar enough that if you enjoy Vampire Survivors, you probably may also enjoy these ones. Every single game that I will mention is one that is also covered on my channel, and I will have the playlist listed in the description as well as the pinned comment, if I don't forget it. So if you're curious about a game, you can just check it out, the latest video, just to see what it looked like. Though keep in mind, I missed a lot of the new updates in many of these games, and I plan to cover all of them in November. You will hear me critique these games, but I am just talking about my experience and how I view it. And this is not meant in a negative way. Every game that you'll find on this list is worthy in my eyes to be played, because otherwise I just excluded them from the list, they are not on there. Now let's just start it off with the top spot. Vampire Survivors at 1062.5 hours. I just want to get this one out of the way. This one will be the one reigning the list since, you know, the other ones came out of that and we can easily judge them based on that. Now this doesn't mean that Vampire Survivors must be the best one at everything, but just that this will be my scale of measurement in how I evaluate the other games. And in case you lived under a rock and you don't know what Vampire Survivors does, first of all, it's $5 mate, go to Steam, get it. Like, it's worth it, trust me. If you like a single other game on this list, you will probably love Vampire Survivors. But all in all, Vampire Survivors plays more into the power feeling. I'm the super strong guy killing millions of enemies, you know. You start off as super weak, and to be honest, you'll probably lose your first 5 to 10 runs, but then you start winning, and then you start unlocking new stages, and new characters, and new evolutions, and you understand what is good, what is bad. And then you get to Limit Break and everything just goes crazy. I mean, I made an entire series, an entire playlist just about Limit Break because it's so much fun to do it. I highly recommend it because all of the game is just about I'm the most powerful and we don't have a bullet hell here. We have a bullet haven, reverse bullet hell. We have just kill everything. Okay? Good. Now we understand what Vampire Survivors is. I'll keep it short because I have like 300 videos on this game, so if you want to check them out, just check the playlist. But I assume that most of you know the game. Starting the tier list off at number 9 is Beautiful Mystic Survivors with 21 hours. Now, when I played this game, when I saw it the first time, this was actually a meme. You know, I saw Anime Booba and I was like, you know what, just for fun, I'll make a troll video, a fun video of how I praise the game, and it's gonna be bad and just slap some titties on it, and you know, that's the entire story about it. And to be honest, early on, it wasn't that much different. I got really surprised by graphics that I liked and enjoyed. The game was kind of stale in regards to replayability and what you could do. It was nothing too special, but it wasn't 3D. That is something special on its own. But all in all, it was lacking, okay? And then there were a lot of updates, and apparently there was recently an update that I still have to play. And you have now 8 characters or so a lot more characters. You have a ton of upgrades. You have evolutions in the game, and all in all, just a lot more going on. Now the biggest issue as far as I can figure is still replayability, because you can add as many characters as you want. If they are not unique enough from each other, like if you only change what stats they gain, then that doesn't change anything about replayability. As in, if the game is not diverse enough, then just having, I don't know, 10% more cooldown reduction or so won't do the trick. I still think you should definitely give the demo a try and just see if you like it, and even if it's just for, you know, when you take too much damage, the pictures that appear on the bottom right, barely clothed, Or I also heard some people play super far zoomed in to explore the physics of the game. Not that I would know about that, but I'm just saying, I heard that. But yeah, all in all, that is the reason why it's a number 9. I think it's a decent game, but it's just lacking enough replayability that I would want to keep going. Because videos like these take a ton of effort and time, but people tend to skip a lot, which is understandable. I would highly appreciate it if you could just help it out with a like, and maybe check out 1 or 2 other videos of mine just to see if you enjoy my content. Enjoy the rest of the video. On rank number 8 we have 3 different games. I'll start it off with Halftime Heroes, who got a little bonus point because I got added to the game. Not just kidding. But I got added to the game, so that's great. Woohoo. Halftime Heroes was, as far as I remember, the very first 3D version of Vampire Survivors, and that was a ginormous thing when that came out. All in all, I got 20.5 hours in the game, and as far as I know, there was a big update that I yet again missed, so November, you're coming. There are also a lot of very entertaining features. For starters, the game has equipment, which I have not seen any other game do so far. So you can collect equipment and give it to a custom character and start with very high stats from get-go, you know, to just do some crazy things. You can also equip manual weapons and skills to the character, whatever you want to have. There are multiple shops to buy things from and to unlock, as well as multiple stages. And you can evolve weapons, but it's more like if you have these weapons, then you get the evolution as an extra weapon. Okay, so it doesn't replace them. To be honest, I think the game is great, but it's again the problem of replayability. Once you had the best build, when you checked out whatever is the best right now, then you kind of just want to repeat that to earn the most, unless you got all the gold already. But even then, everything else feels kind of worse, and the other evolutions are not really worth it unless you just want to see what they do. Now, to be fair, you will still have a decent amount of playtime in there, and keep in mind, pretty much all of the games on the list here are super cheap or even free, so it's not like you're paying a ton for that, even if you dislike it. But yeah, I think the biggest issue that it has is simply replayability, where I get into a game and I know what I want to do, but then I feel bad because I know something else would just be way better. I think there are just certain oomphes missing, you know, something really entertaining. Next up on 8 we have Grim Horde with 5.5 hours. Now, all in all, this game was a lot of fun. It was very different because you are a demon lord and you summon little minions that fight for you that you can select from get-go, I think, or there was some way to change them at least. And then you upgrade them with level ups, you destroy little villages, and it was a little bit weird because you don't fight. Imagine it like Brotato, but you don't have your weapons with you, instead they are on the ground and walk around on their own to attack the enemies. That is pretty much the game, at least talking about the playstyle, okay? So all in all, it was quite enjoyable, and yet again one where I'm missing the update. So November, we'll see you there. But once you got through it once, there was no reason to keep going. Like, there was no difference anymore. And next up on the list, we have Cult of Babel with only 1.5 hours, and the main reason was, when I played it, it was only the demo version. There was not enough content. I personally loved it, because you had the same power feeling that you had in Vampire Survivors, and if you have watched the video, or will watch the video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, there were bullets all over the screen. In fact, I think you saw more bullets than you saw screen left. That was just insane. I enjoyed every moment of it, but as I said, there was simply not enough, so I can't really evaluate where it's heading. But I'll check the update out in November. Okay, I'll stop saying that now. The first one on number 7 is Spellbook Demonslayers, with 6 hours in it. Now, while this one was a demo when I played it, it had a lot more things to do in it when you played it. You can choose between different books and they have unique effects, so not just 10% more cooldown reduction or so, but actual unique effects to them, which gave it quite a lot of replayability. But I think one of the best parts was that it was one of the few games that had an endless mode. Like, once you get to the 0-minute timer, it just keeps going in reverse at twice the speed for whatever reason. But it keeps going, you know, and you can try out all kinds of crazy things, and this is also definitely one that I want to check out again, because you could go for some really crazy things. I think it still struggled from replayability issues, so here, yes, you had the different characters and you could go for different things depending on the character, but the game itself sadly didn't offer all too much that you would want to keep going, you know? Like, the typical issue with endless mode is, hey, it's great if you can keep going, but if there's no point to keep going, only to survive, then, okay, tickle it out a little bit more, see how far I can go, but that's also it, you know, there's nothing special about it then. Also, number 7 with 3 hours, we have Nordic Ashes. This is one that I'm heavily looking out for. It just recently got an update that I did cover, and now a Halloween update that I didn't cover. And it's very different from the other ones, because here, every character that you pick has a certain skill tree, you know, that you can pick out from, and the upgrades that you get to these skills or the weapons that you carry, they are randomized. So, for example, your main weapon, it may get attack damage, or it may get attack speed, or amount, or projectile speed, or whatever, you know, a random stat, and then there's also randomness to the rarity. But what's very satisfying is it's not fully random. So, let's say level 3, you're always guaranteed to have a rare upgrade in there, and if you reroll it, then there's still one rare one in there, but you know, the stat that it's about will reroll. So for example, if you had rare damage upgrade, then it goes to rare, I don't know, projectile speed. The rest of the game is randomized though, so you will get random weapons when you kill a boss, or one random choice rather. Then there's a shop that got recently added, and you can buy things if you earned enough gold, though I do believe there's a lot of polishing that needs to be done in general. But I think the game looks absolutely stunning, and I think it just deserves way more attention. Like, I really hope that this one gets going. Maybe, you know, a Dangerously Funny can pick that up or so in the future. That would be great. At rank number 6, we started off with Boneraiser Minions at 2.5 hours. This had an update. I haven't played the update yet. I'll just say that the game was a blast, but there was not enough to do. But I constantly get requests that I do update videos on this game because people really seem to enjoy it. Like even now, and I did the videos like months ago, so I assume it must be good, but I can't say too much. You play on a small map, you run around, and you get unique upgrades, and all is random and all is crazy, and then you summon your own fighters that kill the enemies, and look, it's a lot of action, but I can't talk about it too much, but it was great. And I think the update probably improved a lot, so let me know if you played it, just, you know, kind of what it feels like. Next up, also on number 6, we have Soulstone Survivors. Now, this one I've covered quite a lot on the channel, and another 3D version of Vampire Survivors. And it has a very interesting system where each skill usually has 4 different levels, like a common one, uncommon one, rare one, and the legendary one. All in all, you have enough characters that you have a ton of replayability, and then your goal is to finish the game as fast as possible. The only issue that I have with the game is that sometimes when you go for a certain type of build, then it's really hard to do that. Like, let's say I want to do a full ice build. It may happen or it may not happen, and rounds can be as short as 8 minutes if you are very fast at the game. If you're very knowledgeable with the game and you get the right upgrade, so it's also not like you have a ton of playtime per round, if you're really experienced, okay? But it's an incredible amount of fun, and I have played a lot of this game. Like, when I started playing it, I sat here for, I don't know, multiple days straight, and would just play it all the time and try to get the time down, experience everything. There is a ton of stuff missing in the game, because it's right now still in the demo version, and there will be runes added, and talents, I think, or something. There were multiple things that get added, a ton of characters. As far as I know, also more bosses. Right now the game has 2 of them. But all in all, it's just run around, go crazy, kill the enemies, get bigger, get better, and enjoy your time. And the last one on number 6 is Spirit Hunters at 22.5 hours. This is a game that nowadays is so much better than it was in the beginning, and it's really nice to see that the developers, they just stayed with it, because initially there was a hype, then it died down completely because there were a lot of issues, and they just revamped the entire game. The way this game works is quite simple. You have multiple stages that you can play on, then also in hard mode, and you can move around onto other stages on the map. Like, there's just a lot that you can do, okay? And you have a huge Path of Exile skill tree where you earn resources, and with those resources you unlock the things. Now, my main issue with the game is that if you want to unlock certain things, it takes you ages, okay? Quite some time. They have improved this over the recent updates, so it's not as bad anymore, but I don't understand why a lot of the main weapon upgrades are really far away. That would make, like, common weapons decent, you know? I think it would be better to move them closer, and then the choosy stuff is outside and not right next to the start that you can't afford either way. I don't fully understand that. But regardless of that, it's a lot of fun. You can pick up to 4 weapons if I remembered right, and then you could take them to level 10, though this might have changed, again, talking out of memory. And with the right weapons, the right setup, and the right upgrades, you were able to go absolutely bonkers and just do whatever you want to do. Very pleasing game, high replayability in my opinion, but only kind of until you get to the point that you have most of the upgrades, and then it kind of dies down because there's just no reason to keep going. You know, this is kind of the point where Vampire Survivors was before Limit Break and Golden Axe got added, where you kind of did everything and then there's no reason to continue. Still, regardless, a huge blast. Oh boy. Now we get to the top 5. Again, 2 games, and I'll kick it off with Chess King because I only got 2.5 hours in it. Sadly, my viewers didn't like it a lot. I had a blast. The way this game works is, have you ever played TFT, where you have synergies depending on the types of the character, or maybe even just if you played Brotato, of course, if you have guns, multiple guns, you get more range. It's the same there, except those are units rotating around you. You can direct them with your mouse cursor, and they will attack the enemies on the stage. Your goal is to kill them all, get through it, and then you get resources. For this, you can buy more items that make the character stronger, and it's all about defend the king. Okay, you're the king moving around, you have to dodge, and at the same time, maneuver your people, get the right synergies, kill the enemies, and well, that's a game. I had a ton of fun with it, but there was not that much until you played through the game. Like, I played through it at 2.5 hours. Is there replayability? Yes, there's a lot of replayability since you can go for so many combos. However, it kind of stops early. Like, the max level is 3. You don't need to do a lot to achieve that. So even if you have a crazy idea, it's more like 15 minutes of play and you're done with it pretty much. Maybe it's a little bit longer than 50 minutes to make the entire round, but the point is, you won't get 50 hours in this game. Now the second game on spot number 5, we have Genesia. And to be fair, the only reason why it's only on 5 is because it's relatively fresh, so there's not that much development in it, and it's already amazing. On this game, there are 2 modes how you can play it. Number 1 is the story mode, where you walk over a map from target to target, and depending what there is, you have different things to do. Sometimes it's just kill normal enemies and farm up, then it's kill an elite and farm up, then it's open a treasure chest and farm up. You get the point, okay? You walk through the map and you farm up, then you become bonkers, and then you kill the final boss and you're happy. There are multiple levels to this. Right now there's only E and D, but there will be more. And then there's the endless mode, and boy, this is a real endless mode. It's done in such an amazing way that I actually need some moment to properly figure out how I explain that. So all in all, the game has artifacts. In the endless mode, you can get a maximum of 12, 6 from bosses, 6 from crate drops. These are what make you really good, and the developer keeps improving everything that people have issues with. Like initially, you could only choose between 2 artifacts, in the future it will be between 3. And then there are some bosses that drop 5 choices instead of just 2 or 3. But all in all, the way Endless works is the moment you get to 30 minutes, the timer in the game becomes faster and faster. That's why, you know, the game on my channel was like, I think it was 34 hours long or so, but in reality it was more like 2 hours, I think. But yeah, the main goal is get the right stuff on the level ups, choose whatever you really need, and you have to always evaluate risk versus potential. So sometimes you have to decide between choosing something that is decent or something that would be really good, but only if you get the right artifact. Now, one issue that the game has is that there are 2 artifacts in there that are so powerful, you always want to start out with them. And I have reset the game for like half an hour straight until I would get 1 run where I got both of them, and then the rest was bullshit, so I just stopped. It's sad, but that's how it can be with those things. Though to be fair, that is obviously self-imposed. But once you get to such a point, you rather want to have it a little bit more determined on what you get, you know, like maybe just bump up the odds of these things that you still have to reset, but not as much, so it still feels like you worked for it. I can just highly recommend the game. It's a lot of fun. It's a different take with the map. And once you're tired of that, you just go into endless mode, and when you're tired of that, you go back to the map. Ton of replayability because everything is different, though you tend to aim for the same things, but sometimes you'll go for a build where you just go for the bow, or just for the magic wand, or you go for a full turtle build where you become a super tank and you're unkillable, you know, things like this. And this is very nice if you can be creative in a game. On number 4, we have Nomad Survival with 26.5 hours. Now, Nomad Survival is very close feeling-wise to Vampire Survivors in my opinion. Over the course of the time, there were a lot of things added that made the game very different. So, for example, at certain levels you can choose a unique upgrade for the starting weapon of your characters that actually is really unique. Like, I'm talking angels are flying around killing enemies unique, and you teleporting and such. And also, this is one of the only games that I can think of that use the terrain around you on the map, that you can do something with it. So here, for example, on one map you can walk through a gate, a door, and then you teleport to another side of the map, and you have actually hard achievements, like you have to kill all bosses within a circle to unlock a character. Since most of the achievements in a lot of these games, they are just a walk in the park where you just play the game and you get them. Like, is that really an achievement? Like, it's a milestone, yes, but is it an achievement? I don't think so. But here, you have a lot of achievements and a lot of wild stuff. Definitely a ton of fun, but for someone like me who played over 1000 hours of Vampire Survivors, the similarities are what pulled me away from it in the beginning, and when I wanted to get back to it, there were simply so many updates I couldn't keep up with it. Now, if there was no YouTube and I had more free time, I think I would have gotten fully back into it and just did everything. Nowadays you have pets there, these unique upgrades. You have also unique upgrades in chests, they are slightly different. You get a choice between them, you can also reroll. And the first one will give you just an improvement to a weapon. The second one, once you max out the weapon, gets a unique effect that is incredibly powerful. So yes, there's a lot in there that makes the game completely different nowadays. Again, a game, if you really enjoyed Vampire Survivors, I highly recommend going for this one. Also on number 4, we have 20 minutes till dawn. This one is a bit more complicated. The game is something you need to get used to, mostly because of the graphics, I would say, at least going by the comments that I received and my personal feeling. But the rest of it, it's just a ton of fun. You have a ton of characters, every character can use any weapon, and the characters have unique effects, but not only that, when you kill bosses, you get unique bonuses depending on what character you're playing. Some of these are completely bonkers, like the next thing that you take in a level up is tripled, huh? Imagine you get a legendary one. You just tripled the legendary one. Do you want to have 3 dragons? Yeah, you have 3 dragons, there you go. No, but it's a lot of fun. It just recently added a second map. It has an endless mode. The endless mode is kind of imbalanced the last time I played it. But to be fair, it's a really good endless mode. Like, you can't expect that an endless mode is that balanced, simply because you have to make some things different there, that it's still enjoyable. And in this case, I think you can get every upgrade 3 times, which just means you end up getting the same upgrades over and over and over. Like, in a normal game with 20 levels, you would have 5 trees maxed out, and in endless mode with 20 levels, you would have 1 tree maxed out and another one started. So you can see how this will take quite some time. And the thing is, if you have something, it's more likely to appear. That was my biggest issue with it, that I wanted to have other things as well, and I just kept getting the same stuff. But all in all, it's a blast, okay? That's all I can say. It's a blast. Check it out if you like it. I think this is the easiest way how I can describe this game. Just go into the playlist, check it out, go to the newest video, not the oldest, and just see if it's something for you. One game that I will also add to number 4 is HoloCure. HoloCure is a fan-made game that is completely free. It's based on the HoloLive community, which are... the easiest way to explain it is maybe anime avatars that are there instead of a real webcam. You know, maybe you have seen that already. I mean, the last time I thought like no one would know what I'm talking about, and everyone knew, so I guess you know. But yes, they have a ginormous community, the game is entirely free, it's beautiful. There's so much that you can do in the game, from unlocking all the upgrades to the gacha system in the game to unlock characters, but it's a very nice one, where if you fail to unlock the right characters, you can just buy them once you spend enough rolls. I think you have to do 7 of them, then you can just outright buy the character. They recently had a huge update where they added skins as well, and more weapons and all of that. Like, the game is super active and there's a ton to do. All the characters that you can play in there are super unique, since they have 3 individual skills that you can select and level up in the game, but also the weapon is always unique that no one else can obtain, which leads to a ton of replayability, since you can try out all the characters, and if you want, you can even try yourself on the hardcore mode, which sets your HP to 1, and then try to win. I'm honestly still blown away how this is just a fan game, but it's one of the best out there. It doesn't have the biggest depth in regards to mechanics, but it's just incredibly well rounded. Like, if you would take my expectation of what a free fan game should be like in a rating system from 0 to 10, then HoloCure is probably closer to a 15 or even 20 because it just far exceeds that. Fan games are usually something that people just enjoy together, and the main fun comes out of the reference to whatever the fan game is about, but here, this is a fully polished game. If I had to rank this game in this tier list here, just, you know, if it costs money and the entire point was to make your own game, I would probably list it at a 6 or a 7 here. I'm quickly jumping in while I'm editing the video. I'm taking back that statement, especially comparing it to the other games. This game is just so insanely polished, and there's so much that you can do. I think I would actually really put it at a 4 or 5 spot. The reason why I ranked it lower is because there's not that much depth, as I explained prior. However, what the game has is incredibly well done, like really polished and nothing feels missing. So pretty much whatever you get, you know will be good. But there are not that many things that some other games have. But given that it's entirely free, and it's just meant for the fans and entirely free, you get nothing out of it, I think it really deserves the number 4 spot. Now before I get to the top 3, well, not really a top 3 because we already have Vampire Survivors, but before we get to that, honorable mentions. Number 1, Magic Survival. I don't know how long I played that because it's on mobile, but it's a game that inspired Vampire Survivors, gets constant updates. In the time where I covered it on my channel, it got 2 major updates right after I uploaded my video. So, like, literally I uploaded it and people were like, hey, the game is completely different, what are you doing? It's like, yeah, great. No, but it's a lot of fun, I highly recommend it. Then we also have Neophyte, extremely powerful capybaras, Pixel Survivors Roguelike, Last Monarch, Hunter Survivors, and Freyfight. Freyfight is one that had a lot of issues because it tried to go for microtransactions. It still does, but it's heavily backpedaled. Now, in my opinion, you earned so much in the game that you didn't need to spend any money, so I had no issues with that. But this was at the point where Diablo Immortal came out, you know, and if you know what this was about, then you can maybe understand that people were really upset seeing that. But in all honesty, the game is free, you don't have to pay anything, and if you want to speed up progress, you can buy this, but you don't need to. But as I said, playlists to all of these are in the description. Number 3. This was really difficult to determine which one is number 2 and which one is number 3, but number 3 is going to Bounty of 1. From get-go, this game did everything right. You had interesting characters that started with legendary objects. This is a little issue that I have, that the objects they start with, everyone can have them, so it doesn't really make them unique. Like, someone else can just get this and they are the same, but obviously starting with them means you're guaranteed to have them. You can only attack if you stand still, so you move around, you evade, then you stand still for a split moment, shoot and move around until you get to a point where you just shoot 150 times a second, or explosions as big as the entire screen. Or look, I have uploaded so much on this game, I just highly recommend checking it out. It's worth it, it's an amazing game. So the way you play through it is you can upgrade your main stats, there are different rarities to it, so even though maybe you want to have attack speed more, it's just a common upgrade, and there's, you know, a purple damage upgrade 3 times as good as a common, so you want to go for that, and suddenly there's this legendary area upgrade which you don't need at all, but it's legendary, so I have to take it, and well, you play the game, and then you get objects from bosses, which are unique upgrades. They are super strong usually, well, depending on the rarity level, but some of them just create bonkers scenarios. You get to the first sheriff, you kill the sheriff, you get to the second sheriff, then you get a score where you can participate in the in-game leaderboard with. So if leaderboards are something for you, then you may want to play this game. The developer is also very active and removes runs that are cheated or were abusing certain things in certain way. But after you're done with that, you get into endless mode. You just keep playing. Now in this game it's not an endless mode where you're so powerful that you keep going forever. Eventually you will die, except for the Immortal run that I had recently, where the main issue was myself, but let's not talk about that. But yes, the endless mode feels like a real endless mode because you just keep going, but the enemies ramp up rather quickly, or maybe the issue is rather that the level ups just take too long. I don't know what it is, but it's supposed to be like this, okay? And I think that's great because it still puts an end to the game, and it's more like a limit test on how good is the build that I chose to keep going. So you can have 2 priorities, either until the second sheriff, and you try to kill as many enemies as possible, or just go as far as you want in the game. You also have redemption options where you can unlock things like 50% more experience, more choices, remove the shooters in the game. That just makes it a lot better for people that want to go for crazy things, talking about replayability, you know? But also people that are not that good at these games, that they can still enjoy them. But I should note that this disables you to participate in leaderboards if you activate them. But yeah, all in all, ginormous fan of this game, and like, please check it out. It's worth it. And now the number 2. Brotato at 75 hours. It's not a coincidence that the number 3 with 41 hours and the number 2 with 75 hours are my 2 most played games and ranked the highest. Brotato hits different. Everything, it's so good. You have accessibility settings to make it easier if you struggle with the game. You walk around, you automatically attack, mostly. The characters are completely unique and they feel so different. Like, I'm not saying they are slightly different or have benefits that others can't get. Like, I'm talking about they are completely different. And once you get tired because you just went bonkers and had the craziest things you could ever have, you can go up the scale. Danger 1, Danger 2, Danger 3, Danger 4, Danger 5. Danger 5 where you fight 2 bosses at the same time at the end of it. And on some of these characters, it's near impossible to win. And this feeling of, I just keep dying on this hardest difficulty because I need to go for the greed that I'm strong enough to survive the boss, and you keep dying and dying and dying. And then you get to finally kill them and you're just sitting there, oh my god, this was amazing. I don't know what to do now. Oh wait, there's another character. Okay, I'll continue with you. It's just, there's so much to it and so many interesting weapons, and it's really easy to mod. Like, I just recently looked into it. The game is super easy to mod, where you can add your own weapons and things like this. And this is also important for replayability and survivability of a game, because if the community can keep modding the game, then this pretty much means it can go forever. Like, just look at the Minecraft community, the Terraria community, RimWorld community. If you have an active modding community and your game is offering enough that you can have fun, this can keep going forever even without updates. So yes, I think Brotato is a well-deserved number 2 on this subjective tier list. As I said, Vampire Survivors is number 1 for me. I mean, even if you make the point that my channel is focused on this game, I have more like 500 hours that I uploaded for recordings, and the rest is played on my own in my free time. So, you know, it's not just because I uploaded a lot of the game. But yeah, that was it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this list and what games you would have added. In fact, this will be very helpful. In November, I want to cover a lot of new games and also visit back old games. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. See you the next time.